Joe, good morning. How are you?
Great, guys. Good morning. How are you guys doing?
Yeah, we're doing all right, Joe. I'm sure a lot better than you. Nobody likes to fire friends and move on from people that you do trust. And, I would think, help get you here in the first place to the spot that you're at. So let's start with the process that you have to go through in order to interview new candidates. How has that been laid out by the NFL, and how do all the GMs across the league and owners across the league have to go through interviewing these prospective head coaches?
Well, our process started Monday. We sent out permission slips, interview requests to teams, received those back, and we were in the process of scheduling these Monday afternoon, into yesterday. So we've been meeting, and Monday. It was Monday and Tuesday. It's like drinking from a fire hose a little bit with the tornado of information, exit interviews with the players, meeting on prospective candidates. So I feel good about our group of candidates. Feel good about our process moving forward.
All right. So how many candidates have you asked permission for?
I won't get into the specific number. I feel like we have a pretty good group of people, of leaders, that wide-ranging levels of experience, and I'm interested. I can't wait to get this process started and really learn about different philosophies, learn about these guys, and I'm excited to get this thing going.
So is it all going to be Zoom interviews? You can't actually meet in person to person in face?
Yeah, I think these first round of interviews
Face-to-face
are going to be all the Zoom, Microsoft Teams meetings to start.
Oh, okay, to start. But at some point, you believe you'll be allowed to sit down with somebody that you're about to hire, right?
Right, that's the plan.
Okay, very good. Now, the other big question that Jet fans want to know the answer to is who is making this hire? So from your mouth to the Jet fans, who is making this hire?
Well, ultimately, the decision is going to be the owners. The final decision is going to be the owner. I feel like it's my job and our president, Jaime Elhai, it's our job to help support that and vet these candidates and get to know these candidates and really give the owner a great group of qualified candidates to talk to.
Do you understand? I don't know the answer to this. I hopefully you do. Is there going to be a new structure where you are going to be running the entire football operation, where the coach is going to directly report to you, or is he going to be on this fork where he also has the ear of the owner?
Yeah, I think that's going to be ownership's decision, Boom. And for me, that's not a big thing. I'm focused on the right person, the right leader for this team. And however it's structured, I've been a part of teams that had it structured both ways, where it's reporting to the head coach reports to the GM, or the head coach and the GM report to the owner. So I've been around successful teams that do it both ways.
You said ultimately it's the owner's decision. We understand you can't make a hire and the owner not knowing about it, but do you envision a scenario where you fall in love with a candidate and you say, this is the guy that I want as general manager, and the owner shooting that down?
I think that's a hypothetical situation. I would say I think we're all excited to talk to these guys. I think this is going to be a very collaborative effort, and I think we're going to all come to the same conclusion at the end of the day on who the right person is to lead this team.
Did you hear Christopher Johnson's comments talking about how he's sick of losing, and the type of coach that he would be looking for, or that you guys would be looking for?
I did, and I would agree with those sentiments. I think everyone in this building is tired of losing, players included. And it was great sitting down with these guys on Monday and Tuesday, and I really appreciate the players' candor and and their feedback on what we need, because as you know, Boomer, the players know, the players are so intuitive, and so it was great feedback and productive meetings, and we need someone with high integrity, leadership skills, can manage the entire team, can manage relationships in the locker room, on the staff, in the building. So we can't wait to get started and talk to these guys and find the right person.
Yeah. So your list of candidates are mainly coordinators. How many ex-head coaches are on that list?
I think we're gonna have, like I said, all different levels of experience. We're gonna talk to guys that have been former head coaches. We're going to talk to coordinators. We're going to talk to a lot of different candidates. And again, I can't wait to get in these calls, and the energy is going to be high, I'm sure, and get going and see what their process is going to be.
Talking to Jets general manager Joe Douglas on Boomer and Gio on the Fan and CBS Sports Network. As you start this new hiring process, were you given any financial constraints by ownership that said, hey, we want to pay a guy, but maybe not pay a guy that much money?
Not at all. Then that has not been, no restrictions.
Okay, very good. Now, what about Woody Johnson? Where is Woody Johnson in all of this?
Woody's the ambassador of the UK. And I know until his term ends, he is in that role, and I don't anticipate there being an issue after his term ends.
Are you expecting him to be involved once that term ends?
I think that's Christopher can go into that, and I think there will be there is a plan in place. But I don't think there's going to be an issue.
Yeah, you have to wait until his term ends before he can actually officially get re-involved with the team. So let's talk about Sam Darnold. I know some of your comments that came out yesterday. He's a great player. He's got a great future. It seems that many of the people that were on that conference call yesterday with you or Zoom call yesterday are taking that as a very tacit support of your quarterback going forward. Is that the right understanding from your standpoint of the way that we are taking your words and then basically trying to say that you seem like you're not sure whether or not you want Sam back?
Look, Sam's a good player. We still believe in Sam, and we still believe that he has a bright future. Obviously, his play was impacted by injuries, his own, his teammates, O-line, wide receivers. I think if you talk to Sam, he would say that he could have certainly played better. I think at the end of the season, in the last month, I think we saw a really good play, and we were able to beat two good teams. So the bottom line is that there's not going to be a decision that's made that I'm going to make without counsel or with that just by myself. Our task at hand is finding the right leader, the right head coach, and we're going to have those discussions once this head coach comes in.
So is it fair for me to hear those comments and think to myself that you don't know right now whether or not Sam Darnold is on the roster next year?
Oh, right now we're looking for a head coach, and we're trying to find the right person. We're going to get in. We're going to once we hire that person, we're going to roll our sleeves up. We have a lot of big decisions to make. Yeah,
so basically you're saying that you're not going to tell these head coach interviewees that Sam Darnold is the quarterback and you have to make it work with him. You're basically wanting to get their input on the situation before making any decisions at that high of a level about your starting quarterback. Is that fair to say?
That's correct.
Okay.
All right, that's a good thing. All right, silver lining time. What are the silver linings that you can give Jet fans coming out of this horrific year?
Well, silver linings, there's a lot of good people here, and I think there's a lot of good young pieces to build around. I think if you look at our interior defensive line, I think we have a really good core group of guys led by Leonard Williams, Foley Fatukasi, John Franklin Myers. I think if you look at the young guys we brought in last year, there should be excitement on these guys. I think we have a future high level tackle in Mackay. Really excited to have a healthy Denzel Mims for 16 games next year. I think you saw some young guys really step up in the back half of the year. It was good to get Bryce Hall off the injured list, have him starting at left corner for us. He is smart, he's tough, he has great length, and he prepares like a true pro. So I think we have a lot of rookies that did some good things last year. I think we have a ton of draft capital moving forward over the next 2 years. We have 9 picks this year in this year's draft, quite a few in the top 3 rounds. We have a good amount of salary cap space. I don't think we're going to be reckless when it comes to spending, but we will be aggressive if the right guy is there. And so I think if for any coach that would be interested in this job with this market, this fan base, there's there's a lot of good things here.
So, you had C.J. Mosley opt out before the season started, and I've been wondering about this for all the players that have opted out. Are you allowed to stay in contact with him, and do you expect him to be back on the team next year?
I do expect C.J. to be back. I have not had a conversation with him. I plan on having a conversation with him soon, but I do expect C.J. to be back. We certainly missed him this year.
Talking to Joe
last year.
Yes, last year now. Yes, Joe Douglas, New York Jets general manager on the Fan and CBS Sports Network. When you're trying to find the next leader from the head coach standpoint of this organization, do you factor in the history of the organization? I know you've only been here a couple of years, but fans call us every day that have been here throughout it all. And when they hear another coordinator roulette type of hire, it kind of makes them nuts. So do you factor in, like, back out of the Rich Kotite era came Bill Parcells? Does that factor into your mind?
That doesn't factor into my mind. I'm like you said, Gio, I've been here a year and a half. I try to lean back on the experiences that I've had over 21 years, 15 with Baltimore, 3 with Philadelphia, and you try to piece together, what were the traits of a great head coach and a great leader. And I've been fortunate to get a lot of advice and counsel from mentors of mine to help me through this process.
I would say one of those guys has got to be John Harbaugh. I know that he's in the middle of the playoffs right now. I'm just wondering if you called him and asked him about anybody in his life and whether or not they have any interest.
Well, Harbs is a great coach. He was exactly what we needed when Ozzie hired him in 2008 with the Baltimore Ravens, and he was a guy that had a strong personality, extremely disciplined, tough as nails. He could handle the strong personalities of that team and those teams in Baltimore, and he was the perfect hire. But I love Coach Harbs. I had a chance to spend many years sitting right next to him in the draft meeting room, and great conversations, and he never pulled any punches, and I love Coach Harbs.
It's kind of interesting. I just want to ask you a side question because you talked about Philadelphia. You were down there for 3 years, and you saw a lot of success there, and you saw what happened on Sunday night with Doug Peterson going to Nate Sudfeld for some reason. I just wonder, have you ever been around a team where maybe a general manager goes up to a coach during the week, and I know you guys have meetings with each other, and say, look, man, we want to protect this draft pick that we have now, so we can't win this game. Have you ever been in a conversation or ever heard of a conversation that went that way? I have not.
And I can't. I didn't even watch the second half of that game, so I can't even. And I'm not. And obviously, I'm not in the building, and I've got a lot of other things on my mind. But I've not been in a part of a conversation like that, so I can't imagine a conversation like that taking place. I mean, there's you have to have credibility, with the players. So that's always on my mind. When you're dealing with a position like the position I'm in.
Yeah. I mean, especially with a head coach and a quarterback and a situation where the game is intense and there's playoff hopes lying on this from another fan base and all of this other stuff. Look, the story. I know you didn't watch it, but you know the story because it's been all over the place and you guys don't miss anything in the NFL. Just wondering, do you think that a coach in Doug Peterson's situation loses any credibility with his players? Because to me, that's the most important thing that a coach brings to a locker room.
Yeah, I can speak to my time with Coach Peterson, and Coach Peterson had unbelievable credibility with the players, being a former quarterback in the National Football League for so long. The players love Coach, so that's a big thing of that Coach has, and he's smart, and he has great relationships around the building with everybody. So again, I'm not really familiar with the situation going on there, but I have the highest regard for Coach Peterson.
See, I'm not the general manager, Joe. You are. But when I look at this situation in the Jets, I say I'd like a guy who had previous head coaching experience. That's sort of something that I'd like. But I'm just thinking now, you've got two great examples of guys who had a lot of success who didn't have that when they got the job, in John Harbaugh and Doug Peterson. Now, John Harbaugh's had, an incredible run there. Doug Peterson won a Super Bowl, and things aren't going great for him right now. But when you go into this search with this team at this time, do those two names pop into your head thinking, we don't really need previous head coaching experience, because look at those two examples?
No, I think you build the profile on these guys no different than you would a player. And, when you go back and you look at the coaches that have had great success over the last 20 years, I mean, there's different profiles, right? There's, Gio, you just mentioned Coach Harbs and Doug. And, then you have guys like Pete Carroll. You have guys like Coach Belichick, who had the former head coach experience somewhere else, whether it was college or pros. So I don't think there's a one-size-fits-all when it comes to this job. I think it's important to obviously vet every candidate, but then you get we're going to get on these Zoom calls, and then you're going to get in a room with somebody and really feel their presence and their leadership ability, and can they command the room, can they command the team, and so like I said before, I can't wait to get going in this process to really learn and get around some of these guys.
Talking to Joe Douglas on The Fan, what was the low point for you this year?
Certainly, I would say anytime there was a 0 in front of our record. Mm-hmm. We're in this profession to win games, and that's the bottom line. And so when you're not winning games, it's a frustrating thing, but at the same time, even when we were at our lowest point of 0-13, these players in this locker room stuck together, and these guys hard work. I mean, their work ethic, their competitiveness every day in practice. They never laid down, and that was really impressive to watch every day in practice, every game. Some games were closer than others during the 0-13 stretch, but these guys never back down. So I have a lot of respect for the way that these players carried themselves throughout the year during a really, really tough year with everything else going on.
So there wasn't any part of you when the Jets beat the Rams that you said, that's not exactly what we wanted, because there was a franchise quarterback that people have talked about for 3 years being the number 1 overall pick that now just slipped through our fingers. Not one shred of Joe Douglas thought that way?
Gio, I can honestly tell you that there's not one person in the National Football League that wants to go through an 0-16 season and have that mark on their resume, whether it's a player, a coach, or a staff member. So there was a lot of joy in L.A. when we won that game.
Yeah, I don't know why Gio doesn't believe me when I tell him that, and I don't know why you always have to ask people like Joe Douglas to reaffirm that.
Okay, I'm not the only one who's thinking that way.
I get it.
I know you do get it, Joe. So who won the Leonard Williams trade, by the way?
Still TBD, I guess. I mean,
right.
We were able to get a player that we're excited about. They were able to get, we have a 5th round pick in this year's draft, but wow, Leonard had an unbelievable year. And I have a lot of respect for Leonard the person, a lot of respect for Leonard the player, and so I'm sure the Giants are very happy with the way that trade turned out. They had a player that came in and was able to get double-digit sacks this year, so we still have a little bit of meat on the bone in terms of that trade that we need to get a really good player.
Yeah, it's interesting. I went back to look at the day that trade was made. And, Jet fans are like, we won this trade. Giant fans are like, what is Dave Gettleman doing? And now here we are. And Leonard Williams has become really one of the better defensive linemen in football, I think you could say. And I know he was a good player for the Jets. He just didn't do what he has done for the Giants. So I don't know. It's just a weird thing.
He really had a great year this year, and I'm happy for Leonard, and I have a lot of respect for Dave Gettleman.
So when do you guys really start diving into evaluating players in this upcoming draft? I'm sure you have your scouts out there during the season, and it was a truncated season in many ways, especially for guys like Justin Fields, who only played 7 games, but really the 7th game was just off the charts against Clemson. When do you guys really start digging in and evaluating all these different players that are going to be available at number 2?
I would say May of 2020.
Right.
As soon as the draft was over, our group of college scouts, really our whole group of college and pro scouts, there's a lot of passion and a lot of work ethic, and these guys dived in right after the draft. We knew it could be a very odd year in football, not knowing if there was going to be a season at all in college football. So there was a lot of work done, on the 2019-18 seasons. Just there's a lot of deep dives on all these top prospects. So guys, our guys have really been grinding on all these prospects really since May.
Is the Senior Bowl taking place this year?
Yeah, as far as I know, Senior Bowl is taking place.
It is, okay. So all right. So you'll be able to get some of these guys in person then, at least. And,
yeah, that'd be good.
Right.
Again, I'm not sure the exact logistics. I'm sure if we do get a chance to sit in front of a player, it'll be socially distanced. I'm not sure if it's going to be video only, if you can talk to a player. So I've got to see how that's working out. But there is going to be a Senior Bowl down in Mobile.
All right, I want to ask you about one specific player. And the reason I want to ask you about this player is not if you are interested in drafting him or anything else, but how are people going to be able to evaluate him since he hasn't really played? And that's Trey Lance. That's this quarterback from North Dakota State who everybody thinks is a top 10 pick for whatever reason. All the draft pundits and all that other stuff. I haven't even really seen him play. I know he's a dual threat quarterback, and that seems to be the way a lot of teams are going now in the NFL because the college game is transferring a little bit more to the NFL game. But how does somebody like you and your scouts really dig deep on a guy that doesn't have that much tape out there?
Yeah, well, first, North Dakota State's obviously a tremendous program, and they've had a ton of success over the last 10, 15 years. With a guy like Trey, and I think I alluded to it earlier. That is a guy with all this uncertainty that we had coming up that our guys have to go through and watch every single play from his freshman year up until his last game. So I know in his specific case, he's only played one game this year, and that'll be it. And you won't see him again until Combine, Senior Bowl. So we're going to keep doing as much work as possible on him.
How well do you know Hall of Fame head coach Bill Cowher?
I've never had a chance to meet Bill Cowher. I obviously was in Baltimore for 15 years, and those were some old-fashioned slobber knockers, and no one respects him more than me. Obviously a Hall of Fame coach, great leader, and tremendous football coach.
Would you like his number?
Oh, Boom! You want to talk more about him? I mean, we can get the background going now.
Yeah. I don't want to get all this started all over again because last time I did, Gio took it to a whole nother level.
And I'll do it again just by this question: is that someone that you would consider reaching out to?
I think we're keeping a lot of options open. So look. I feel good about the group of people that we're going to be talking to. So we're going to keep a lot of options.
I will say this, Joe, and I made this same offer to Adam Gase when he first got the job here. If he would like to sit down with Bill Cowher and just learn about Bill Cowher, the way he thought about things, I would be more than happy to bring Bill over to Florham Park. And Bill was all in on it.
Handcuff him.
No. And Bill was all in on it. And I never heard back. So, look, you need to meet the guy someday. Maybe not as your next head coach, but he is a wealth of information, and he is an incredible, incredible guy. I will say that. And you guys used to hate each other, I know, because I used to hate him when I was in Cincinnati and he was with Pittsburgh, and he's an easy guy to hate when he's standing on the sideline. So I get all that stuff. But, he's an unbelievable resource. But maybe one day you guys will get to meet, and I'll be more than happy to make that introduction. But let me just take one more step further with all these quarterbacks that are now coming out. I'm sure you're watching some of these games. Give me your impression of Justin Fields. Did you see the game against Clemson and how he played?
I thought that was a great performance. Obviously, I was really impressed with the offense and defensive line of Ohio State. I felt they really took the game over, and it certainly was a outstanding performance by a very good player in a high-profile game.
Yeah, it's amazing. You just said what I thought you would say. It's always about the offensive and defensive line in your eyes. I get it. You guys work the hardest, you're known the least, but who cares? For you are the reason. That's the offensive lineman's prayer, by the way. But we, the guys that have to stand behind those offensive lines, are the guys that actually people pay to see. So I was just wondering, Justin took a shot to the ribs. I don't know if it was a rib or a hip pointer. He was in pain that whole second half. And that kid showed, I thought, that moxie, that competitive spirit, because a lot of people doubted him because of that performance against Northwestern. And now he's on the field with Trevor Lawrence, who everybody believes is going to be the number 1 overall pick. I just thought his fight, his competitive spirit, and everything else really shined through in that game.
Yeah, Boom, from your years of experience, and you have to be a tough guy to play that position in this league. And I've been fortunate to be around a lot of tough guys, from Joe Flacco to Carson and Sam. Sam's one of as tough as they come. Playing through his shoulder injury this year, never back down. So that has to be one of the prerequisites of the position in this league. In my mind, is you better be tough, not only physically but also mentally, psychologically.
How about the one final question I have for you, and that is this question about dedication at that position. And it seems like it's taken on a whole new level over the last 5 or 6 years. And, I hear, Joe Judge over at the Giants talking about how dedicated, that Daniel Jones is. While I also see down in Washington where Wayne Haskins wasn't dedicated enough. How important is that in the evaluation process when it comes down to selecting the right players for your locker room?
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head, Boomer. This is the most competitive sport in all professional sports, in my opinion. So you better have guys that love the game and are dedicated to their craft and are willing to put in the extra time, especially at that position, because it's, in my mind, it's the toughest position in all of pro sports to play. There's so much on your plate. You have to be a leader. You have to be a coach on the field. You have to be a high level of physical. Your physical abilities have to be through the roof. You have to have it all from a physical, from an intangible standpoint. And so if you don't have dedication at that position, I don't think there's a lot of room for success.
Well, we appreciate your time, Joe. I know you have a meeting that you got to get to. Look, man, pressure is a privilege, and this is a huge selection on your part. Hopefully the Johnson family will allow you to do it unfettered, and I wish you nothing but the best. It's not an easy job, but then again, it's a job that so many people would love to have.
Yeah, I appreciate it, guys. I appreciate the time. Looking forward to this process.
All right, Joe, take care, man. We'll talk to you soon, all right?
Okay, take care.
Joe
Bye.
Douglas, Jets general manager on the Fan and CBS Sports Network.